Right now, somewhere in your bank account, there's a pile of cash quietly losing value every single day. And you probably think it's the safest money you own. Let's say you're 29. You make $61,300 a year. You've got $18,400 sitting in a savings account. And every time you check the balance, you feel a little wave of relief wash over you. That number hasn't moved in months. You think that means it's safe? I want you to hold on to that feeling for a second, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how that safe $18,400 can quietly bleed out thousands of dollars over the next several years, and what you can do instead without giving up the safety net you actually need. This isn't about taking risks with your emergency fund. It's about realizing the risk you're already taking by doing nothing. Picture the classic moment. Your car breaks down, or a medical bill shows up that you didn't see coming, or the job just ends. You open the app. You see that $18,400 sitting there. You exhale. That relief is the entire point of the advice we've all been given. 3 to 6 months of expenses, sitting untouched, in cash, ready to catch you. Financial advisors have preached this for decades, and honestly, it's not wrong. Having that cushion has saved people from real disaster. But here's the thing nobody says out loud. The advice is incomplete. It tells you to build the fund. It never tells you what happens to the fund once it's built. It never asks the one question that actually matters here. What if the number on that screen is lying to you about what it can actually buy? Most of us treat safe and stagnant as the exact same word. As long as the dollar amount doesn't shrink, we assume the money is fine, sitting there, untouched, frozen in time like it's supposed to be. That's the assumption. If my emergency fund is sitting in a savings account and the number never drops, I'm fine. And I get why we think that. Traditional big bank savings accounts have, for most of the last 15 years, paid interest rates hovering somewhere between 0.01% and 0.5%. Essentially nothing. Which means that $18,400 sitting in your account today will still say $18,400 next year. The number is loyal, it doesn't move. But, and here's where it gets strange, the fact that the number doesn't move is exactly the problem, not the proof that everything's fine. So why does that same $18,400 buy noticeably less 5 years from now, even though the balance never dropped by a single cent? The answer is inflation. And inflation is sneaky because it doesn't need you to spend a dime to do its damage. It works in the background, automatically, every single year, whether you're paying attention or not. If inflation is running around 2% to 3%, and your savings account is earning something like 0.1%, your real return, the number that actually matters, is negative. Your balance stays the same. Your purchasing power does not. And that's the quiet part. You didn't lose money in the way you notice. Nobody sent you an alert. There was no red number, no dramatic drop, no crash. It just evaporated, a little at a time, invisible. Now stretch that out. During stretches like 2021 into 2022, inflation spiked well above 6%, even touching close to 9% in parts of that window, while most big bank savings rates barely twitched. Your $18,400 sat there, proud and untouched, while the actual cost of everything it was supposed to cover, rent, groceries, car repairs, climbed a lot faster than the account did. Now do that math over not 1 year, but 5, 10. How much has actually vanished? Here's where the timeline gets ugly. From roughly 2009 through 2015, and again through a big chunk of 2020 into 2021, the Federal Reserve held interest rates near zero. That's not a random blip. That's over a decade, combined, where anyone following the keep it safe in cash rule was parking their emergency fund in accounts paying next to nothing, while the price of literally everything else kept climbing. This wasn't your mistake. I want to be really clear about that. It wasn't a personal failure. It wasn't bad math on your part. It was the default setting of the entire banking system. Big banks profit when your money sits still. Zero interest for them is enormous interest for them, if you follow the logic. Your caution was, quietly, their business model. So if this has been true for years, not months, years, how much has this safe choice actually cost the average saver sitting exactly where you are? Let's go back to that $18,400. Let's say it's now 35, 5 years later in this story, and you've kept it in that same account, earning around 0.3%, while inflation averaged something like 3% a year over that stretch. That gap compounds. Not dramatically, not all at once, but year after year, it eats away at what that money can actually do for you. Over a decade, a gap like that can erode thousands of dollars in real purchasing power. Money that was never touched, never spent on anything, and still, somehow, gone. This isn't a market crash story. Nobody lost their emergency fund overnight. There's no headline for this. It's the quiet cost of doing exactly what you were told to do. And that's what makes it so easy to miss. So does that mean the whole emergency fund rule is wrong? Not exactly. The fix isn't ditching the fund. The fix is where you let it sit. Here's the part that actually changes things. The same $18,400, the same safety, the same instant access, can exist somewhere that doesn't quietly bleed you dry. High-yield savings accounts, widely available through online banks, have offered rates in the 4% to 5% range in recent years. Still FDIC insured. Still liquid the same day you need it. Short-term treasury bills and money market funds offer similar safety with competitive yields, and treasuries come backed by the U.S. government itself, about as safe as cash gets. None of these sacrifice the actual job of an emergency fund. Same accessibility, same protection, dramatically less erosion happening in the background while you sleep. So if a better option has existed the whole time, and it has, why does so much emergency cash still sit in accounts paying almost nothing? It's not laziness, it's inertia. That account was opened years ago, maybe back when you were 24 or 25, direct deposit already linked to it, and the idea of moving emergency money feels risky even when it isn't. We treat the fund like it's supposed to be untouched in every possible sense, including where it physically lives. Only the spending needs to be restricted. Not the location, not the container. The fund's actual job was always safety and access. It was never supposed to sit in the single worst-paying account you own, just because that's where it's always been. And if this is the first time you're realizing your safe money has an invisible cost, wait until you see what your checking account's leftover balance is quietly doing to you too. That one's next, and it might be worse. Which raises the real question. Is your emergency fund actually protecting you? Or is it protecting the bank that gets to use your money for free while you feel good about a number that never changes? The emergency fund itself was never the problem. The container it's been sitting in for years, quietly, in the background, that was. The same safety, the same liquidity, the same peace of mind you're after is available in accounts that don't let inflation eat the balance while you're not looking. You didn't do anything wrong by following the advice. You followed it exactly the way it was taught to you. Build the cushion, don't touch it, feel safe. But right now, today, in this exact moment, that account you haven't looked at in months, the one sitting at 29 or 35, or whatever age you're at in your own version of this story, is still bleeding, 1 percentage point at a time, and only you can decide to stop it. This isn't about being reckless with your safety net. It's about noticing where your caution has quietly been working against you the entire time. That's my story. Yours might look different, or it might not.